Time to talk business. Thanks to our partners 2 Degrees. We return to Garth Bray. There'll be pressure on markets today after US stocks fell following the latest spate of tariff threats from the White House. So Garth Bray from BusinessDesk is here. Garth, good morning.
G'day, Ryan.
So Japan and South Korea, they are getting a 25% tariff letter. Where have the markets landed on this?
So the Dow closed, I think, just down almost 1%, 422 points it lost there, and it lost a lot more on the close, so it made a little back across the day. Pretty much the same picture right across US markets. You'd expect there'd be a follow trade. Most people are picking when our market opens, when the Australian market opens, and so on, just as people adjust to that news. That's a fresh spate of screenshots from the President of the United States about who he's going to slap with tariffs.
Now, Infertil looks to have survived the mauling by the big, beautiful bill.
Yeah, right. That's a New Zealand company that obviously has quite a bit of exposure to a big US company. It owns about a third of a company called Longroad Energy, which has got a lot of renewables based in the United States. It recently signed a deal to supply power to Meta, for example, for some of its data centres. And there's been a wee bit of concern even as far back as May that this bill that just went through last week, the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, was going to crunch down a lot of the incentives on renewable energy. It looks like that was pulled out of the fire, pulled out of the Senate and fixed up to the benefit of that company and others like it sort of at the last minute. And so the feedback we're getting from analysts this week is that that looks like it's more positive for that company, which I guess is another sign of, we saw Scala putting out information about this sort of last week saying it's found a way through tariffs. There are companies that are finding their way through the thicket of the policy changes that are just sort of coming left, right and centre out of the White House.
Now, this recycling thing that's meant to be happening with the school lunch program, you've got an example here. How many of these aren't being recycled but should be?
Well, good question. I think up until a month ago, none, as far as we could tell. We've had our investigator Cecile Meyer on this one since day dot. These are the little aluminium trays that the kids get their school lunches in. About 110,000 of these go out every day, or are meant to. That's like 1.3 tonnes of aluminium that's meant to be recycled as part of the program. They're supposed to, it's part of the contract, part of the deal. And they were making claims on the website saying, oh yes, they are cleaned and broken down so they can be repurposed into practical items like engine parts. No, they were just going to the dump.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and what was tricky was that when that...
They'll be more expensive now because of the tariffs on aluminium, of course.
Or aluminium, as the case may be.
Aluminum.
I guess the thing is, once this was pointed out, they've quietly scrubbed those claims. They've announced a plan to start recycling about half of them, but I mean, that's still like 120 tonnes of aluminium a year, or aluminium, that we're going to be tossing. So, you know, lift your game.
All right, Garth, good to see you. Garth Bray, Business Desk, and we talk business every day thanks to our partners 2 Degrees.